Imagine waking up early in the morning. You open your window expecting a normal day, but instead, you see a woman dancing alone in the middle of the street. Not happily. Not like she's celebrating. No music. No crowd. Just one woman, dancing wildly under the burning summer sun. At first, people laugh. Some think she's drunk. Others think she's crazy. But then hours pass, and she's still dancing. By evening, her feet are swollen and bleeding. Her face is pale. Her breathing sounds painful, but she still cannot stop. Now imagine waking up the next day and seeing more people dancing with her. Then dozens. Then hundreds. Entire streets filled with exhausted people spinning, jumping, screaming, crying. Unable to control their own bodies, some collapse dead on the ground. Others continue dancing until blood pours from their feet. And the most terrifying part? This was not a horror movie. This actually happened in history. And even after more than 500 years, nobody truly knows why. The beginning of the nightmare, the year was 1518. The place was Strasbourg. Back then, Strasbourg was very different from the modern city people know today. The streets were narrow and dirty. The air smelled of sweat, smoke, and sickness. Life was hard, very hard. Most people lived in fear every single day. There were deadly diseases everywhere. Food shortages were common. People believed evil spirits and demons walked among humans. And honestly, life already felt like hell. The summer of 1518 was especially brutal. The heat was unbearable. Crops were failing. Families were starving. Many people had lost hope completely. Then, one morning in July, everything changed. A woman named Frau Trophäa walked out into the street. Without warning, she started dancing. No music played, no celebration was happening. She simply began moving uncontrollably. At first, nearby people ignored her. But after several hours, they realized something was wrong. Very wrong. She wasn't stopping. Her movements became violent and exhausting. She spun in circles, kicked her legs wildly. Her breathing became heavy. Still, she continued dancing. By nighttime, she was completely drenched in sweat. But even then, she did not stop. People watched from their windows in fear. Some whispered prayers. Others believed she had gone insane. But nobody expected what would happen next. The madness spreads. The next morning, Frau Trophäa was still dancing. Imagine seeing someone dance for an entire night without rest. Her feet were swollen. Her eyes looked empty. Yet her body kept moving like something invisible controlled her. Her husband reportedly tried stopping her. Neighbors begged her to sit down. Nothing worked. It was as if she physically could not stop dancing. Then suddenly, other people joined her. At first, it was only a few. A young man, an old woman, a teenager. But within days, dozens of people were dancing through the streets. The city became filled with strange, non-stop movement. And this wasn't joyful dancing. It looked painful, terrifying. People cried while dancing. Some screamed for mercy. Others looked completely emotionless, moving like lifeless puppets. Witnesses described people collapsing from exhaustion, only to stand back up moments later and continue dancing again. Soon the number reached over 100 dancers, then even more. The streets of Strasbourg transformed into something that looked like the end of the world. Imagine trying to sleep at night while hearing endless footsteps outside your house. The sound of feet slamming against stone roads, heavy breathing, crying, screaming, prayers. People could no longer escape the nightmare. Everywhere they looked, someone was dancing. Death in the streets. Then the deaths began. One dancer suddenly collapsed from a heart attack. Another died from exhaustion. One woman reportedly danced until her ribs and muscles gave out completely. Some people suffered strokes. Others fainted under the heat and never woke up again. Still, the dancing continued. Imagine watching your neighbor dance for days without stopping, knowing they might die in front of you at any moment. Panic spread across Strasbourg. Families locked themselves inside their homes. Parents held children close, terrified the curse might spread to them too. And honestly, it probably felt like a curse, because nobody understood what was happening. Doctors had no answers. Priests had no answers. The city leaders had no answers. But then they made a decision that would make the situation even worse. The worst decision in history. The authorities called local doctors for help. The doctors examined the dancers carefully, and after studying them, they reached a horrifyingly stupid conclusion. They believed the dancers suffered from something called hot blood. According to them, the dancers needed to keep dancing until the sickness left their bodies. So instead of stopping the dancers, the authorities encouraged them. Yes, real history. The city literally built wooden stages for the dancers. Musicians were hired. Drummers played loud rhythms through the streets. The idea was simple. If the people dance enough, eventually they will recover. But the exact opposite happened. The music made the madness spread faster. More people joined. More bodies collapsed. More deaths followed. Soon Strasbourg looked like a city possessed. Imagine walking through dark streets lit only by torches, seeing hundreds of exhausted people dancing uncontrollably while drums echoed through the night. Some witnesses claimed the dancers looked completely possessed. Their eyes rolled back. Their mouths foamed. Some screamed religious prayers while moving violently. Others begged strangers to tie them down so they could stop. But even when restrained, some reportedly continued twitching and dancing anyway. The city had become trapped inside a nightmare nobody understood. Fear takes over. Europe news of the dancing plague spread quickly across nearby regions. Travelers carried terrifying stories from Strasbourg to other towns. People heard rumors of entire streets filled with dancers collapsing dead. Some believed demons caused the plague. Others believed God was punishing humanity for its sins. Religious fear exploded everywhere. Priests held emergency prayers. Church bells rang constantly. Many people genuinely believed the end of the world had arrived. And honestly, if you lived there during that time, you probably would have believed it too. Because how else could hundreds of people dance until they died? Even today, it sounds impossible. But the reports were real. Historical documents from the time described the horror in detail. One account claimed some dancers begged for death because they could no longer handle the pain. Another described blood covering the streets beneath exhausted feet. The entire event felt less like history and more like a terrifying curse. Today, the dancing plague of 1518 remains one of the strangest events in human history. Historians still debate it. Scientists still study it. And people online still become shocked when they first hear the story, because deep down, it touches a very human fear. The fear of losing control over your own body. Imagine your mind begging to stop, while your body refuses to listen. That is what made the dancing plague so horrifying. Not just death, not just madness, but helplessness. Complete helplessness. And maybe somewhere in the darkness of history, the true reason behind the plague still waits to be discovered. So tonight, before you sleep, imagine hearing music outside your window, soft at first, then louder. You pull the curtain aside and see hundreds of people dancing in the darkness, unable to stop, unable to escape, knowing some of them will be dead before sunrise. And the scariest part, nobody knows if it could ever happen again.